Over the past few years, there's been a strong push for theocratic bills in this building that have some advanced, some have made it throughout the chamber, and some have been signed into law. And I have evidence. I've compiled just a list off the top of my head. We have had bills that would require the displayment of the 10 Commandments at the state capitol, mandating that the 10 Commandments be displayed in classrooms via posters. We've passed the nation's first publicly funded religious charter school. We have religious school tax credits. We've heard members in this chamber quote the Bible to justify hitting kids with disabilities in school. We had a bill that would have designated the Holy Bible as the official state book. We have the banning of the teaching of evolution in schools, and our own governor claimed that in his inaugural address that the state of Oklahoma is for Christ. Mr. Speaker, if Jesus were to come back today, he'd start flipping all over your tables. He'd start flipping your tables all over. He did not want to create a theocratic nation. He taught to feed the hungry, shelter the poor, heal the sick. He did not preach, or he did not teach, to use students to further push a Christian nationalist agenda. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the clarification and definitions. I'm on page 3, where you define what a chaplain is. A chaplain shall be a person such as a minister, rabbi, priest, imam, lay leader. My question is, you were very specific on listing out those. Is it confined just to those, or all chaplains who could be associated with any IRS-recognized religion?
I appreciate that question. No, it is not limited to that, which is why it says such as people in these faiths. And then there's also additional information in the amendment to the amendment that further clarifies that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative, this bill is being pushed by the National School Chaplains Association and Mission Generation, and their leader, Rocky Malloy, has said that it is, quote, their purpose to enhance his presence by infiltrating the system and supporting Christians functioning and operating inside the school system. Does that give you concern?
Well, first and foremost, I have no doubt that they are in support of this particular legislation. But this was something that I had been talking to some of the other members about, and came up with this idea to put the language in there. So it wasn't supported necessarily by any, or it wasn't given to me by a group. So now that we've got that, really what I want to do, I just want to have another tool if a school district so desires to utilize it to help with some of the things that kids are facing in schools, some of the things that teachers are facing in schools. Another role that they can play in this is they can serve as some advisory to the school board when it comes to different things that might get into a little bit of the religious realm as to what they could or could not do. But every bit of this is 100% local control. The school board would first make the decision if they want to do this or not. And then second, they would set up what the role of this person would or would not be.
For a follow-up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative, earlier you mentioned that this is not intended to replace our school counselors. But would you acknowledge that we have a critical shortage in school counselors that has been exacerbated by the reluctance of this body to fund or add additional funding to hiring school counselors over the past 5 years? Would you agree?
I would absolutely agree that we have a shortage in counselors, and that this could be a tool to help with that, but in no way, shape, or form would this be a replacement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The state of Oklahoma ranks worst in the nation for children with adverse childhood experiences. And we know that children who rank high on adverse experiences are more likely to do poorer in school and more likely to be incarcerated. We also know that the state of Oklahoma has a critical shortage in trained mental health professionals in our schools. So you would think this is a common sense solution to a terrible problem. All we have to do is invest in more school counselors to help mitigate the adverse childhood experiences that thousands, hundreds of thousands of kids are experiencing across the state. No, that's not what we've done over the past 10 years. Like most things in this body, the solutions that we seek to our problems do not make any sense. Our prior state superintendent, Joy Hoffmeister, requested for 3 years an additional $58 million appropriated specifically for hiring new school counselors in our schools. Every single year, this body rejected those requests. How much has our current state superintendent requested to hire new school counselors? 0. Mr. Speaker, every time there's a school shooting or a tragic gun death, we hear Republicans always say, it's not the guns, it's mental health. We need more mental health in our schools. And then when given the opportunity to invest in mental health and actually get trained school counselors, we refuse to do it. 0 cents. Mr. Speaker, we have to remember that we live in a constitutional republic, which is a form of democracy, not a theocracy. Mr. Speaker, I don't think it's the author's intention for this to go beyond what he has described. I believe the author. He's my friend, and I take his word. But I will tell you that this bill, very similar to the one in Florida, very similar to the one in Texas, is certainly rooted in Christian nationalism, dominionism, the New Apostolic Reformation, and the 7 Mountain Tenets. This is one of the tactics that theocrats are using to take over a free democracy. Mr. Speaker, if Jesus were to come back today, he'd start flipping all over your tables. He'd start flipping your tables all over. He did not want to create a theocratic nation. He taught to feed the hungry, shelter the poor, heal the sick. He did not preach, or he did not teach, to use students to further push a Christian nationalist agenda. Mr. Speaker, I encourage you to vote no on this bill, and let's get back to the real work and hire trained school counselors. Thank you.
Thank you for your debate.
54 aye, 37 nay.
Having received a majority vote of those elected to and constituting the House, I declare the bill to have passed. Mr. Floor Leader.